All right, everybody. It's Tuesday. It's Tuesday. Welcome, everyone, to another edition of No Credentials Required, where you don't need a press pass to talk sports. We are proudly presented by Belly Up Sports. My name is Ryan McCarthy. I'm one of the hosts. To my right is a man who's not going to say "I told you so," but he's going to say "I told you so" eventually in an upcoming video about Anthony Davis. Dustin Henry. Dustin, how are you today?
I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right. Hate to say I told you so.
All right.
But
I just love it. I love it.
but I haven't watched much basketball this year. There's been reason for me to, but luckily there's plenty of reasons to watch the NFL this week, as we did, Ryan. Doing all right. It was great to have you and some of the guys over, and I'm excited to talk about it again with you on the air. Ish.
Me too. I mean, today was it's been a weird day. It's been a weird day. I mean, I'm wearing like, once again my Nick Mangold custom made vintage jersey, Mitchell and Ness. Thank you, Jake Asman, because I won it in a raffle from his channel. Thank you, Jake Asman, because today would have been his 42nd birthday. Nick Mangold's 42nd birthday today, which is crazy. Which, it's unfortunately it's the consequence of our mortality sometimes. Dying young. So I'm memorializing him. Otherwise, things are good. I'm ready to rock and roll. Talk about NFL wild card. Also talk some more. Oh my God, that never stops. NFL coaching news. We're going to start with that in just a moment. But before we get into all that, we want to thank those of you who watch our live on our Facebook channel, on our YouTube channel, which will be posted on the Belly Up Sports YouTube channel later tonight, and on Belly Up Sports Twitter /X tonight. So we want to remind people who are watching, who are tuning in, whether they're live on the replay, to follow us. Follow us on social media: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Just search for No Credentials Required. You can also find our other podcasts and other written content at bellyupsports.com. On the podcast side, you can subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, Amazon Music, iHeart, TuneIn, Pandora, and our host Podbean, Freshly Brewed Podcasts. And also hit that notification bell on Twitter and on YouTube so you know when the show goes live, when we have videos that go up, and when we have general announcements go up. We posted a video yesterday about John Harbaugh, from our Saturday discussion about John Harbaugh and Mike McDaniel, where we think they'll land. It's getting some traction on our YouTube channel, so go check it out while both are out of a job. We've got some other coaches who are currently out of a job, one by choice, another because reasons. We'll talk about that in just a moment. But before we do that, again, so I'll remind you on the podcast side, rate, review, comment, 5-star review would be helpful. Leave a review on podcasts on podcast review platforms like Apple Podcasts, like Podbean, Podchaser, Good Pods, another place we can review. And if you're listening on Spotify, leave a comment. We'll go back and read them. I did see a comment on our YouTube channel when we posted the video about John Harbaugh and from Mike McDaniel, from my friend Wanko the Sane, who said, "I'm glad that Bengal killer John Harbaugh is gone."
Oh man!
So there's one comment from our comments. I told you, whenever you leave a comment, we will read it on the air.
Yes,
provided it's nice and clean and it's not too dirty. And we are a live show Tuesdays at 6:30, Saturdays at 10 a.m. Sometimes we occasionally mix it up and we go to other days and other times to tune into the show. And we love the engagement. We love the engagement from our audience on whatever platform you're watching on. And Dustin, I know, it's been a weird couple days. Today was no exception in terms of the NFL, but this tune always makes me feel nice and normal.
Oh man, I'm looking at the clock and it's right on time. It's chime time.
And we're going to get to a wild card weekend in just a moment, but because the NFL never stops, never stopping, we have to talk these two news stories that came out today. Mike Tomlin, and these are consequences not because of what happened last week, but because of what happened this past weekend. Mike Tomlin stepping down as head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers. after 19 seasons with the team, I want to say.
Yes, 19 seasons.
Okay, so my math was good. Yay, math. Yay, Ryan. And Kevin Patullo justifiably dismissed from his offensive coordinator position as the Philadelphia Eagles coordinator. Justifiably so, because he was not good. But first, I want to talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers. And this is the statement made by Art Rooney II on Mike Tomlin today, roughly about a little after 2:15. And he says, I quote, "During our meeting today, Coach Tomlin informed me that he has decided to step down as our head coach. Obviously, I am extremely grateful to Mike for all the hard work, dedication, and success." He forgot an Oxford commenter, dedication, and success we shared over the last 19 years. It is hard for me to put into words the level of respect and appreciation I have for Coach Tomlin. He guided the franchise to our 6th Super Bowl championship and made the playoffs 13 times during his tenure, including winning the AFC North 8 times in his career. His track record of never having a losing record in 19 years will likely never be duplicated. My family and I and everyone connected to the Steelers management are forever grateful for the passion and dedication Mike Tomlin has devoted to Steelers football. This is from Art Rooney II, Steelers president. Dustin, I'll get your thoughts. We'll talk about this briefly and we'll move on to the wild card.
Okay.
Were you shocked by this announcement?
I was shocked just because I thought it would never happen, let alone that he would be the one to pull the plug. But I have to admit, I wonder if he could see the writing on the wall. We don't know what's going on in Mike Tomlin's head. But as I've mentioned, I do know a couple of Steelers fans in my personal life. And the thing is, as I've talked with some of them before, Mike Tomlin, the job that he's been doing the last few years is good enough to keep you in NFL purgatory because you're not bad enough to be at the top end of the draft, and you're not winning Super Bowls and playoff games to put you at the end of the draft. So you're just kind of smack dab in the late to middle rounds of the draft, and you can't really do anything from that position sometimes. So they've never really had a full-fledged rebuild. But I can't say I'm surprised that it finally happened. And I'm surprised that he is the one that said, hey, look, I'm going to step down but I can't say I'm surprised at this outcome, which we'll get to in a moment here, because I said at the beginning of the season, Steelers ownership said they were going all in. And I think I said something to the tune of, if this is your all in, you got some problems,
Yeah.
and they manifested against the Texans, as we'll get to, Ryan.
Yeah. And I did the research while you were talking, and I looked up to see how many winning seasons Bill Belichick had in his 24 years as head coach and pseudo GM of the New England Patriots. He also had 19 winning seasons, but he didn't have 19 winning seasons in a row.
Yeah.
And Steelers fans jokingly called the 10-7 seasons that Mike Tomlin would have our Super Bowl, especially after their last Super Bowl win, which was against Arizona. Gosh, it feels like forever ago.
Yeah.
But I'm shocked, but at the same point, I'm not surprised. Did a little more digging, and Josina Anderson, she said that he was thinking about this. They were talking about this in November.
Oh, okay.
That about Tomlin, either Tomlin being stepping down or Tomlin being let go by the Steelers. He actually thought this would be his last season up until Rodgers basically said, "Yeah, I'm in with the team." Finally made a decision in June to go all in with Rodgers, and I mean, this is the 9th vacancy. That's what's crazy about this. This is the 9th vacancy, and this is not a firing. This is a look. I did my time here. I think it's time for me to just kind of chill for a bit, and. In a group chat of mine with a couple of friends, it was mentioned that the Steelers still own his coaching rights through 2027.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Teams are interested in talking to Tomlin and hiring him as their next head coach, it's going to cost them. It might be a trade. It's similar to what Sean Payton did with the Saints and the Broncos and the Saints did when Sean Payton was hired. I think the Saints got a first-round pick and a second-round pick for Sean Payton's coaching rights. So you might have a similar tag attached to that if you decide you want to talk to Mike Tomlin anytime between now and 2027. So because I think he signed a 2-year extension at the end of, I think, last season. He signed a 2-year extension with the team, and yeah, again, his coaching rights are still with Pittsburgh. And the maddening part is that there is an alternate universe, Dustin, that Mike Tomlin becomes the coach of the Baltimore Ravens or the Browns, and John Harbaugh becomes coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers or Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, that's crazy. And I've given him credit before because Kevin was the first to vocalize that on at least in my circle on Seahawks Sessions a few months ago. And I kind of laughed at him for that, but I posted a clip in our Discord, Ryan. Somebody asked Baltimore Ravens owner Steve Bisciotti about it, whether Tomlin would be a candidate for the job. And he just kind of laughed and he said, a holy expletive, wouldn't that be something? And he said, but only if John takes the Pittsburgh Steelers job. So, who knows what's going to happen,
Anything can happen in the NFL these days. It's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah. And then a little bit later, go ahead.
You are right, Ryan. I just wanted to verify the research. He signed a 3-year extension in June of 2024, keeping him in Pittsburgh through the 2027 season until today.
And then a little bit later, we find out that Kevin Patullo is now the former offensive coordinator of the the Philadelphia Eagles. He was informed by Nick Sirianni, head coach, that he would be dismissed as offensive coordinator, but Nick Sirianni did say he would be open to having Patullo in another position on the team. I have to wonder if it's going to be Burger Flipper at the Link.
Oh, man.
Shout out to that kid. He's a real one.
Yeah, that kid. Man, when I sent you that I was like, I got to send this. And then you posted it in our Discord. Second plug. If you're not in there, get in there.
Come on in. No chuds allowed. No chuds or trolls allowed in our Discord. But that's what we do. We talk sports. We talk life. I mean, it's just fun. But yeah, Kevin Patullo, he's gone. This will be Jalen Hurts is going to go on his 5th consecutive offensive coordinator next season. We talk about Justin Hurts, and I forgot to mention Greg Roman was fired as offensive coordinator of the Los Angeles Chargers. Go back to school, man. This is again NFL. The news never stops in the NFL.
Yeah. We did not have any of this planned, and then you said to me, "I'm gonna have to change the rundown."
So I was so pissed. I was so pissed. I'm like, please, but they're not beating coach news today. Please. And like, damn it. Any more thoughts about coaching changes before we move on to our primary topic, Dustin?
No, I don't think so. This is bubbling over in Philly, as again we'll get to in some of the recaps that we're about to do. I just wonder, with Patullo gone, how much more time does that buy Sirianni? To say nothing, if I was a betting man, AJ Brown will be in a different uniform next season.
We'll talk about that when that time comes. But we're going to talk about what happened this week in the NFL wildcard. I'm going to bring this back just for this episode, Dustin.
Oh, yeah.
Because I cut the brakes! Wildcard, bitches! Yeah! What?
It's a shame I didn't use that on Saturday, but I thought about it today, and I'm like, I gotta use it. Especially when I was promoting on Twitter. I'm like, that's the first thing that came up when I typed in wild card.
Oh man! Yeah.
We're gonna start off with the early Saturday game, Los Angeles Rams at the Carolina Panthers. This game took place in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I'm gonna have my co-host start off with his thoughts about this game before I talk about mine. So, Dustin, lay it on me. What were your thoughts about this Carolina Panthers game?
All right. Well, I thought the Rams were going to come out on fire on this one, and I thought that they'd be motivated because the Panthers got them a few weeks ago, that the Rams would be prepared in the beginning. And in the beginning of the game, it looked like what I thought was going to happen. It was going, to quote an evil villain from every show that we watched when we were younger, everything was going according to plan, right? Puka Nacua, he scored a touchdown with his third catch on that opening drive. The Rams drove right down the field, and then the Panthers were driving until Kobe Durant picked off Bryce Young, and the Rams scored again on a TD to guess who? There's that man again, Puka Nacua. I think it was Mark Jackson that used to say that. Shout out to him. The Panthers would finally get on the board, though, with a Chuba Hubbard TD run, set up with some nice catches from McMillan and Coker. Now, Teteroa McMillan and Jalen Coker had a nice game for the Panthers. A lot of people, including myself, were wondering, is Xavier Legette in this game? What was going on with that? But the Rams, they would respond with a field goal to go up 17-7. The Panthers had a few miscues that, the Rams wouldn't really be able to capitalize on one of them, but the Panthers, early it looked like that lack of playoff experience was going to catch up with them. Chuba Hubbard had a big drop on a 3rd and 2 where they would have converted. He was open and he had room to run, but then it forced a punt by Carolina. And then Trevor Etienne, he also muffed the fair catch off of his face mask. But ultimately, the Rams did not convert that into points. But what it did do is it gave them more time, and it gave the Panthers less time with the ball. So things like that. Bryce Young threw that early pick. You're thinking, oh, man, are they prepared for this? But then right before the half, Bryce Young, he was able to score a rushing touchdown. And the Rams tried to respond, but Puka Nacua, a rare drop. He dropped a would-be touchdown pass by my eye. There was nobody in front of him, but he just couldn't hang on to it. And then in the third, the teams, they would trade field goals until Mike Jackson, he picked off Matt Stafford, and then Bryce Young then threw a 51-yard strike to Jalen Coker. JR in his hat, he must have been sitting in the stands for this one, because in the fourth, it picked up. And then Chuba ran it in again. The Rams responded with a TD by Kyron Williams, although it was not a running TD. It was a receiving TD. And then the Panthers capitalized on a block punt with a TD from Young to Jalen Coker again. But then the Rams, they responded with a beautiful touchdown catch by former Seahawk Kobe Parkinson at the tight end position. He kind of spun into the end zone, and the Panthers' last drive, their last gasp, it was a drop by Jimmy Horn. The Rams hang on in a surprising one. The Panthers gave them all they could handle, and I have to wonder, if they did not have those early miscues, would the Rams have survived this one? Shout out to Bryce Young and the Panthers for coming to play.
Indeed. And like, I'm echoing a lot of your statements here, sentiments here, Dustin. It did look like it was going to be a blowout early. 14-0 lead by the Rams. Got points off a turnover. Panthers finally woke up, and in the second quarter got a touchdown of their own. Rams went back up 10. Got a fortunate bounce off the face mask of Travis Etienne after punting the ball, after following a stop by the Carolina Panthers. Covered the ball in Panthers territory, couldn't do anything with it, because instead of taking the points, they went for it on 4th down.
Yeah, Sean McVay's been doing that a lot.
And you see Matthew Stafford, poor 50-year-old Matthew Stafford, trying to run and make some space for his team, trying to create a play. He actually could have ran for the first down, but wound up throwing the ball to the feet of his receiver. Panthers respond with a touchdown of their own, and Rams lead 17-14 at the half. Third quarter, largely uneventful until the end of the quarter, and Dustin got a new element to show.
Oh, man.
The JR effect came into play.
Yes, there it is.
Because and indeed it did in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Because Mike Jackson picked off Matthew Stafford, which turned into a touchdown. Chuba Hubbard, second touchdown of the game. Rams responded right back with an 11-play drive, resulted in a touchdown of their own, took back the lead. But Rams special teams, man, their defense forced a punt at the Panthers. Panthers did their job on defense. Special teams has been a problem this year for the Rams. Remember, they fired their special teams coordinator after their game against the Seattle Seahawks when they allowed that punt return for a touchdown, which allowed the Seahawks to come back from a 14-point deficit. So special teams, once again, letting them down with that blocked punt, which got taken in, which resulted in a touchdown, which resulted in points for the Panthers. They take the lead. But here's the problem. They left way too much time on the clock for Matthew Stafford and the Rams. Now, I got to question the Panthers here. There's about 3 minutes left when the drive started. 7-play drive. Matthew Stafford goes 6 for 7. I think the biggest reason there's two parts. Two things can be true at the same time. Matthew Stafford, the veteran that he is, was surgical. Was absolutely surgical on that drive. Again, went 6 for 7. Some great plays by Devontae Adams, his receivers, Puka Nacua, and again, that great circus catch by Colby Parkinson. The other part that can be true is that the Panthers defense secondary was playing. Why were they playing such soft zone coverage? Why was David Canales not calling timeouts? They had 3 timeouts left. They could have taken a timeout saying, okay, defenses is a come to Jesus moment here. We have to mix things up. Yeah. And I know Mike Jackson's a ball hawk. JC Horn is a ball hawk. Although he's had some bumpy moments over the last month of the season. Why aren't they taking a timeout? Why are they playing soft zone coverage, kind of like playing prevent defense, when they know a field goal isn't going to do it for the Rams? They need to score a touchdown and take the lead, which they eventually did. And then the Panthers offense decided to basically lay dead for 4 straight plays. Rams took over. They kneeled down. And it's fait accompli. Rams advance to the next round.
Yeah, and you know what, Ryan? I think you nailed it. When you laid it out like that, you know what I was thinking in my mind is in the NBA, they used to do that all the time. Still do. A coach will take a timeout because they recognize that the other team is seizing momentum, and and so the coach will try to take a timeout just to give his team a breather and also stop the other team's momentum. I think Dave Canales could have taken a page from his NBA brethren there and done that, like you said. Yeah, said.
It might be just the first time head coach thing where he just thinks, okay, we're going to stop him on defense. We're going to get the ball back. We're going to kneel it. Game over. No, man. You got to take your timeouts. You have to stop the momentum. You got to go back to the drawing board and figure out, okay, how are we going to stop these guys? We got to play man. We can't play this soft coverage. It didn't add up for me. The math wasn't mathing, Dustin.
Football
math wasn't mathing in this one.
I agree. Although I must say, Matthew Stafford, very good season, and he had some great moments in this game, as you said. But he threw 6 interceptions for most of the season, and then in the last few games, he threw 3 against the Falcons. He threw, and then he's thrown 2 against the Panthers, if memory serves, right? Both to Mike Jackson.
Yep.
And then he also threw in the Seahawks, and he threw one against who else did they face? Why am I getting crossed up? But he's had
Cardinals.
Yeah, he's had interception problems late in the season,
Yeah. Some comments in the comments section. Julie from Michigan saying, hello, gentlemen. Hello. We were actually talking about you on Sunday during our get together, Julie. So not in a bad way. Just some of the cred head audience, the cred heads, the cred.
Yes.
Heads. She also asked, what do y'all think about Mike Tomlin stepping down? Go back and rewind after the show, Julie. We have our thoughts. She also says he was doing his best Matt Eberflus impression. That's why he didn't call timeout. Ouch.
Oh, man.
Also, Matt Eberflus was fired as defensive coordinator of the Cowboys. We covered that last week too.
Yeah.
And Joe Shane survives another day, at least for now, as GM of the New York Football Giants. Kevin Wilson from your cohort from Seahawks Session saying the Rams advanced but didn't impress. Jim sipping on that haterade, huh, Kevin? And last but not least, Julie saying, look at Ryan using some Gen Z slang. So down with the times. Now I'm just down on myself right now. All right, we're moving along to the nightcap of the Saturday games. Green Bay at Chicago. I'm going to start off with this game. The nightcap did not disappoint.
Oh, man.
Did not disappoint at all. And I noted in our show on Saturday that the Bears needed to score a touchdown on their first drive. They got the ball first, drive down the field, take nearly 8 minutes off of the clock, but it only resulted in a field goal. I said, all right, I mean, it's points. It's points. It's not a touchdown, but it's points. It'll do for me. Then the Packers took control for the remainder of the half on offense and on defense. Defense was playing solid ball. They forced 2 turnover on downs by the Bears. They also forced an interception on a fourth down from Caleb Williams. All 3 drives, the first 3 drives of the game, touchdown, touchdown, touchdown. They're up 21-3. And with 21 seconds remaining in the first half, do you know what the percentage of the winning percentage was? The chances of winning, the percentage for the Packers with 21 seconds left in the second quarter?
I'm gonna guess it was 97%.
95.1%. You were close.
All right.
You were close. And then Brandon McManus missed a field goal. But at that point, it seemed like the Packers, they had the game in hand. Third quarter comes around. Bears kick a field goal. Packers force another. They get the ball. The Bears get the ball back after forcing a punt from the Packers, but Caleb Williams throws yet another interception. But the Bears, give them full credit. They made adjustments in the second half. Made a lot of adjustments in the second half because the Packers offense couldn't do anything. Couldn't do a thing. And again, guess what came into effect in the fourth quarter, Dustin? The JR effect. Gotta play that sound again. Fourth quarter. What a fourth quarter this was. Both teams the Bears kicked the field goal at the beginning of the fourth quarter. Defense forces a 3-and-out. The teams trade touchdowns, but here comes the turning point of the game. 4th and 8 with 5:37 to go. Caleb Williams finds Roma Dunze on a phenomenal passing play. It was 4th and 8. They get 27 yards. That was the backbreaker. A lot of people said not only were casual NFL fans or hardcore NFL fans who were just watching this game didn't have any interest in this game in terms of their in terms of fandom, but every fan, including Packers fan, was saying that was our backbreaker. That was the backbreaker for the Packers. 5 plays afterwards, the Bears scored a touchdown. How did the Packers respond? They drive down to the Bears 26, and Brandon McManus misses another field goal. Good Lord.
Man.
Then the Bears took over. Bears take over. 6 plays, 66 yards later. DJ Williams passing touchdown to DJ Moore. Now, the Packers. You got a minute 43 to work with. And they take 11 plays. They had 11 plays in a minute 43. It just seemed like every play was like 4 yards, 3 yards, 4 yards, 3 yards, 11 yards. They had 11 plays on that final drive. And Jordan Love, that last effort, 7 seconds left. He gets the shotgun snap. He fumbles the ball, picks it up, tries to make a play out of it, was trying to find a receiver, was pointing out where the receiver would go, throws it in the end zone, hits the ground. The Cardiac Bears move on in the divisional round. Now, after the game, it just seemed like this latest playoff loss seemed to plant a seed of doubt in the minds of Packer fans that Matt LaFleur is not the coach to lead his team to a Super Bowl. I wrote that yesterday. Afternoon, thinking, okay, maybe there's a chance that Matt LaFleur might no longer be the head coach of the Packers. Well, it turns out Adam Schefter notified people on social media that they were working their way towards a contract extension because Matt LaFleur has 1 year left on his contract, his current contract with the Packers. And they were trying to find a deal to work out a contract extension, which I say, sure about that, Chief? Especially with all these coaches coming out, being let go or stepping down from their jobs. Are you sure? Are you sure you want to let LaFleur? Not let go of LaFleur? But I don't know. Ask a Packers fan today. I had another friend, the same friends group. We're talking about Tomlin stepping on today. One of our friends is a Packers fan. He had to console his two boys.
Oh man!
While muting our chat, even though we know none of us were really making fun of him. We're just like, is Matt LaFleur gonna not have a job tomorrow? But turns out he and the people of the Packers Nation, because the Packers are the only community team, the only team owned by the community.
Yeah.
Not by an owner, owned by a community, has been since the beginning. He still has a job, at least for now. We'll see what happens by the end of the week. But that's my thoughts about the game, Dustin. What are your thoughts about this game?
Well, I think you highlighted a lot of what I was going to talk about because, spoiler, everybody, we watch the same games, and so we're probably going to have some of the same thoughts. So you laid out the game beautifully. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of pepper in some things that kind of surprised me here. One, this was the game of the weekend to me. This was fantastic, and we had a great wild card weekend for the most part. But the Packers, as you mentioned, they led much of this game, and they did it without the big game that I predicted Josh Jacobs would need to have for the Packers to win this game. Shout out to the Bears rushing defense. I said they were giving up 134.5 yards per game. Josh Jacobs had 19 carries for 55 yards in this one. But the Packers, they spread the ball around. That's what they did. Watson, Reed, Dobbs, they all caught those first half touchdowns. And Dobbs had a big game for them, but it would all be for naught. The Bears, listen to these stats, okay? The Bears were behind 21-3 at the half, as you mentioned, and with just over 10 minutes left in the third, the Packers were still up 21-6. But, and then the Bears defense, they start to get the stops, as you've mentioned. And Caleb, the Bears were driving, and then he threw a pick. But again, as you mentioned, the Packers could not capitalize on it, and they got stopped for the third time in the third. Yet the announcers commented you hadn't seen the Packers punter at all in the first half, and then you see him 3 times in the third. So the Bears defense, they tightened up. And you want to know how many yards the Caleb Williams threw for in the fourth quarter? 150 yards. He threw for 150 yards in the fourth quarter. The Packers defense, meanwhile, wilted, and that's why the Bears were able to outscore them 25-6 in the fourth. So I have to wonder, I'm tempted to go back and watch this game. How much of a cushion were the Packers giving the Bears in that fourth quarter? I mean, 150 yards in the fourth, it's crazy to me.
Yeah. More comments from the comment section from Julie from Michigan saying, the lose-lose game for Lions fans. Gotta be at least a little happy for Ben Johnson.
Yeah.
She also says the Packers fan crash outs, though, have been enjoyable. Yeah, I was playing one during the, at your house the other day. Oh, man.
Oh,
I will say
man.
this though. What were your thoughts about Ben Johnson's comments in the locker room after the game? The post game handshake was glorious, by the way. It was just
Yeah.
like, oh, nice game, see ya.
Yeah, the post game,
and then the post game comments in the locker room was just, it was everything.
Man, and
I
I
want
did
more of
see-
that. I want more of that in the NFL.
Yeah, and I mean, you know what? The relationship that he is forming with Caleb Williams, because I watched the post game speech in the locker room, and he gave out 3 game balls, one of which was to Montez Sweat. I forget who got the second game ball, forgive me, but then Caleb Williams got the third game ball, and Caleb Williams had a speech. And he gave it back to Ben Johnson because he said, what this man has done for me as a coach, I speak with him every day. He helps me improve my game. You know, these two, they're hitching their wagon to each other, and you can see it's working.
Oh, Julie. Nah, Ben Johnson, you got wrecked as far as I'm concerned. Well, guess what? They move on. Lions are sitting at home. Third game, the Sunday games. Let's talk about this first Sunday game, Buffalo at Jacksonville. Dustin, your thoughts about this game before I give mine. I have a lot of extensive thoughts on a lot of these games, FYI. So
yeah, no, it's quite all right. But this game, okay, the real talk is I was here. We watched the game, but I was ordering a pizza in the first series of
you
the
gotta
game.
tell a story about that pizza.
I got to what?
Thoughts. Before we go to commercial, you gotta tell the story about the pizza. So, but before commercial break.
All right, yeah. So once we finish our thoughts, I'll tell the story about the pizza. But so I was ordering a pizza, so I missed a little bit of the beginning of this game. But it turns out I didn't miss much because this was another game for a certain element. Ryan, I have a feeling you're going to play it. But both teams started out slow. But the difference is, as we both predicted on Saturday, the Bills' playoffs experience, I think, shone through in that they did not let their slow start rattle them. They led 10-7 at the half after Josh Allen just took it and ran in, and he was clobbered by the Jags on that one. I thought he was injured. I remember Tony Romo being concerned on the broadcast. It was determined to be a TD, and it would prove to be the same 3 points that they would win the game by. The Jags tried to respond, but the field goal attempt by Little was a doink off the crossbar. That was surprising. And we also had quite the lively debate in my house about time being put back on the clock while this was happening. I remember particularly Derek and my brother-in-law going back and forth. They're like, what are we going to put 1/10 of a second back on the clock? You know, what is this? You know, F1? And people were going back and forth. But Matt Prater did not crater the Bills' playoff chances by kicking another field goal, followed by Little and the Jags responding with one of their own. They just traded field goals. But then they went for punch with the Bills in a wild fourth quarter. They would score first with a touchdown to Parker Washington, who kind of caught fire in the fourth after his first catch, I think, was in the third. He wasn't really putting it together for the Jags. No one was in this game. But then, as we mentioned, Josh Allen put together a touchdown drive capped off with a TD to Kincaid after a big reception by Knox. What have we said all season? The Buffalo Bills offense is James Cook, Josh Allen, and the tight ends, and they stuck to that blueprint. Some of their receivers had big catches in this game, but still the touchdown machines are Josh Allen, James Cook, and the tight ends. The Jags then took the lead on a TD to ETN. But the Bills then converted on 4th and inches with a snowplow. That's their version of the tush push, everybody. Everybody's coming out with these different names. The Bills call it the snowplow. The Seahawks call it the barnyard. Can we just stop with the different names, please? But then, you know, that would lead to the win. Cole Bishop picked off Trevor Lawrence to end it. The JR effect was running wild on Wild Card Weekend.
Certainly did. There it is. So, this game was the heavyweight fight that it was built up to be, as the beat up but battle-tested Buffalo Bills faced the team from Duval. that one more time before we put it aside for the year. But I think you could argue with the Jaguars. They were a year ahead of schedule in their reset. This was definitely a team that played they won 8 games in a row. Nobody expected that. The first half, like you mentioned, Dustin, sluggish for both teams. Kind of feeling each other out a little bit. Both teams traded turnovers. Bills forced an interception out of Trevor Lawrence, which resulted in a field goal. Jaguars benefited from a special teams fumble on a kickoff after their touchdown. But turning point of the half, and probably the entire game, Sean McDermott challenging a 4th and 2 that the Jaguars looked to have converted, but upon further review, Trevor Lawrence's shin was down a yard short. Bills take over. They drive the field, scored touchdown, take a 10-7 lead. And it was a touchdown that resulted in, hey, wait a second. Isn't the snowplow a version of the tush push that the Bills voted against in the owners' meeting? For those of you on audio listening, I'm kind of fiddling with my beard because it's kind of, yeah, why would you do that? Uneventful third goal. Both teams trade field goals in the third quarter. And once again, guess what picked up in the fourth quarter? I'm going to abuse the hell out of that.
Yeah, all right. We got to put out a challenge. If anybody watched wrestling from the air, if you can pick out whose theme music that is, because I don't even know.
I know. I'm the one who downloaded the clip. Each team tried to touch. So what's that?
I said we'll figure something out if someone guesses it.
Yeah, we'll send you something like a gift card or something. Anyway, both teams trade field goals in the third quarter. Business picks up in the final frame. Each team trades touchdowns in the fourth quarter. The lead changed a playoff tying 4 times in the fourth quarter. 4 times. Bills benefited once again from Josh Allen's second quarterback sneak, or you could say snowplow, take back the lead with 1:04 remaining. Jaguars had just enough time to orchestrate either a game-tying field goal or a game-winning touchdown. But Lawrence's first pass was picked off, as you mentioned, by Cole Bishop. Bills win their first road playoff game since the 1992 AFC Championship when they beat Miami to advance to Super Bowl 27. Funny enough, they end that streak in the same state that they last won their playoff game in.
Oh, man. Synergy.
Yeah, it's crazy that 34 years later, after their last playoff road win, they win again in the same state. So before we take a commercial break, I gotta have Dustin tell a story about what was going on with the pizza. Oh my gosh!
So I go to order the pizza, and Derek had told me, he goes, you might want to order like in advance because it's probably going to be pretty busy. And I said, you know what? Good point. But he had meant ordering the day before. But I was kind of like, I do that for the Super Bowl, but I was like, I don't think I need to do that for playoffs. I probably should have, but so I get the guys together. I say, hey, what toppings we want? We make our decisions. I go in, I'm like, all right, I'll make this phone call. I go into I was actually in this very space. And, so I order the pizzas, everything goes fine. And I tell the guy, I said, hey, can I get this order delivered at 4:00? And he's like, and it was probably like 1:30 when I called for the pizza. And he goes, sure. And so then I give him he verifies the order again. And then he said, all right. So 4:00, 4:00 is the time you want it. And I said, yeah, 4:00. And then we go over the payment method and everything. And then at the end of it, he goes, 4:00. I said, yeah, 4:00. And he goes, all right, give me 45 minutes. Hangs up the phone. So then I was like, I don't know what time the pizza's coming. But spoiler,
could come at 45 minutes, could come at 4:00.
Yeah, but it did come at 4:00. So
yep. All right, 4 o'clock. 4 o'clock. All right, I come in 45 minutes. Oh, wait, what?
Man.
Yeah, that was funny. Funny story. Funny story.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're going to review the rest of the wild card round. Plus, we'll go over the divisional matchups. Just tell you about what days and what times they're being played. And I got something to say about it. But stand by and stay tuned for more. No credentials required. Hey everyone, it's Ryan from No Credentials Required to talk to you about one of our newest partners at Belly Up Sports, SeatGeek. Yeah, live sports is great on television, but the feeling of being at the arena is a priceless experience. That's why our friends at SeatGeek are there to help you find the best tickets at the best prices. Not only can you get tickets to sporting events, but you can also get tickets to concerts, comedy shows, musicals, and more. Search for your desired event now at SeatGeek.com, enter promo code BellyUpSports at checkout, and you save $20 off your first purchase. SeatGeek. Life's an event. We have the tickets. And again, thank you, SeatGeek, for being an affiliate sponsor of this particular show. Again, $20 off your order of $50 or more with promo code BellyUpSports at checkout. Some conditions apply. Not available for every ticket, or every event, excuse me. But again, $20 off your order of $50 or more. Promo code BellyUpSports at checkout. Go to SeatGeek.com. Use their pricing tool. Get your tickets. And save some cash while you're at it. All right, let's move on to the Eagles. The San Francisco 49ers traveling to Philadelphia to face the Philadelphia Eagles. I said on Saturday's show that this game was going to be a slog, and it delivered. Go me. Eagles scored 2 touchdowns in the first half, although Jake Elliott, oh God, still has the case of the yips in the playoffs. He misses the extra point. I did some research, and fun fact, unless you're an Eagles fan, Jake Elliott currently has the worst extra point conversion in the playoffs. In the history of the playoffs. I think I did the research, and it's somewhere between 72 and 86% of his extra points are made. Even with 86%, it's still bad. It's still the worst percentage ever in the playoffs. But moving on. Both defenses, they showcased their strength throughout the game, especially the 49ers. Robert Saleh, God bless him, should have never been fired from the Jets. Goes back to San Francisco and takes over the defense, and look what it's doing, all the injuries they have. And again, George Kittle had surgery today, and he tore his Achilles, unfortunately. He had surgery today. He's on the mend. Great story about him. Go to the locker room after he has his after the injury. Owner comes in and asks him, "Hey, what do you want? Can I get you anything? Water, soda, tea, coffee. What do you have?" He's like, I just want some tequila. And 10 minutes later, the owner comes back. Mr. York comes back with a bottle of Patron.
Oh, man.
Legend.
Yeah, you got to give it to him.
Yeah, I got to give it to him. Like, he could have had anything after that injury. Gets himself some tequila. All right, back to the game. After the Eagles' second touchdown, in the third quarter, they ran 10 plays for 4 yards on 3 separate possessions. And on top of that, the Eagles defense had forced a turnover in that same quarter. They forced a turnover. The offense couldn't do anything with it, which is why Kevin Patullo is now looking for a job today, or he's still with the organization. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Eagles would eventually score the field goal with just 2 minutes remaining in the third, but the Niners would resort to some trickery to take the lead. And where have we seen this play before? Juwan, a little trick play. Ball gets snapped to Sky Moore. Pitches it over to Juwan Jennings, who finds Christian McCaffrey open in the end zone for a touchdown. Where have we seen that before?
I'm trying to
17.
remember.
I remember. 17-16. They did a couple of years ago in the Super Bowl against the Chiefs. Anyway, going back to this game, Niners forced a 17-16 lead by the Niners. Niners defense, and they forced another 3-and-out. Eagles defense forced another interception out of Brock Purdy. Would the Eagles pick the best of it? Not really. They got the points, but they kicked the field goal. They took the lead, kicked the field goal. They lost Saquon Barkley on the same drive to a knee injury. Now, I don't remember him coming back in the game, but it just seemed like they looked a little bit lost without them. Niners responded with a 10-play drive, took over 5 minutes, concluded with Brock Purdy's second touchdown, again to Christian McCaffrey, and it was now or never for the Eagles offense. They had to score a touchdown down 4, and they didn't. And again, fallout from this game, Kevin Patullo fired as offensive coordinator of the Philadelphia Eagles. What's going to happen with A.J. Brown? Got into it with Nick Sirianni in the first half.
Yeah.
Saying, I want the ball, I want the ball, I want the ball. Every time he got an opportunity to get the ball, drops the ball. So the question remains, and this is kind of up in the air, was this A.J. Brown's last game as a Philadelphia Eagle? And those are my thoughts. Dustin, what are your thoughts about this game?
Well, again, you summed it up pretty eloquently, so I don't have much to add other than the fact that you were right. This game was a slog to watch, and it's painful to see what this Eagles offense has become under the helm of Kevin Patullo. And you can talk about all the, there were problems last year that kept coming out about the Eagles offense and potential problems in the locker room, but they were winning. They were winning, and winning neutralizes everything. But you asked it at the end of your summary of the game. I think A.J. Brown is out in Philadelphia. You can't say the things that he said on a live stream. And then I know Tom Brady on the broadcast, he's like, oh, a lot of people are going to make, a lot of this, but it's just two fiery individuals that they know how much they love each other. Now, there's don't try to sugarcoat it, Tom Brady. There's a rift between the team and AJ Brown from my thing. But back to the game for a little bit. You described it well. The Eagles offense just they looked out of sync in this game. Yeah, they had the 2 touchdowns in the first half. Both of them, by the way, were to Dallas Goedert, who one was rushing and the other was a pass. You could argue that Dallas Goedert has been their most valuable receiver this year. Yeah, Devonta Smith and A.J. Brown have had their games, but Mr. Consistent for this offense, it's Dallas Goedert. So he was consistent again in this one, the source of the 2 touchdowns. But that's all the Eagles could get going. I mean, shout out to the 49ers. They played well on defense, even though they have problems pressuring the quarterback. They can't really do it. It's understandable when they're missing Warner and Bosa. I mean, that's a tall order. But they did bend, don't break defense. The Eagles were able to get the ball down the field a few times, and Saquon had a decent game rushing. He had 106 yards in this one, but no touchdowns. And like you said, he left with an injury. And I think you're right. They ended up using Tank Bigsby and Shipley. So I don't think he came back in this one. And the thing is, the Eagles defense is what kept them in this game. They picked off Brock Purdy twice, but they couldn't capitalize on it. And shout out to the Niners. The Niners knew that this was their season, and they emptied the playbook and they brought out that trick play. And as you mentioned, they're 2 for 2 on that connection. Do they try it again? Who knows? But Kittle was lost in this game for the Niners. But we'll have to see how that plays out moving forward. I mean, Tonjes has played well for them, but he's not George Kittle. But the Niners move on. They played bend, don't break defense, and they really held the Eagles in check as best as they could, and they did enough offensively to win this game. So hats off to them because they battled a lot this year.
Forgot to mention these comments in the comments section. Kevin Wilson saying, not haterade, just solid analysis. He's sipping on the haterade. When we were talking about Josh Allen before in the Buffalo-Jacksonville game, Julie says, Tony Romo cares about someone other than himself and the Cowboys? Somebody stop the presses. No, he just cares about the quarterback position. That's all he cares about. She also says, I'm salty tonight. I'm sorry. She was also asking, isn't business about to pick up Jim Ross? H-Man is a wrestling fan I've been trying to learn. So, yes, it was Jim Ross, but Dustin was asking you to identify the song in the background of that sound that I posted. So I'll play it again. It's about to pick up.
I think I might have just figured it out based on that. No, I'll ask you after the show, Ryan.
Okay. We won't reveal it. We won't reveal it. All right, Sunday night cap, the Los Angeles Chargers traveled to New England. They traveled to Foxborough, Massachusetts to take on the New England Patriots. Dustin, what were your thoughts about this game?
Oh man. Well, you left the house, Ryan. You and local credhead Scott and the rest of the people that were there left the house, and Uncle Al, he was like, I was planning on staying to watch the third game. I said, hey, you're welcome to. Let's watch it. I think both he and I wish that we probably didn't watch this game. We talked about guitar amps for most of the game. Truth be told, guitar amps and work and stuff, because he had some questions about amps. We were going back and forth. But this game, Ryan, this game was tough to watch. I get it was late, but I almost fell asleep watching it at points. It was a field goal battle to take nothing away from the defenses, okay? Because both defenses showed up to play in this one. But the Chargers' offensive line couldn't do anything against a ferocious defensive line of the Patriots. They got to Justin Herbert 6 times, sacked him, and it was noticeable. Justin Herbert was hurting by the end of this one, and he was trying to gut it through. But I hate to say I told you so, because I get I get a lot of things wrong. I get lots wrong. But I mentioned the fact that the Chargers offense has really struggled at times this season to get things going, that Ladd McConkey hasn't been the weapon that he was last season, and you could see the void at wide receiver. And I was very surprised that the Chargers rushing attack couldn't get anything going against the Patriots defense. It was a defensive battle. The Chargers defense played extremely well because they sacked Drake May 5 times. It wasn't like the Patriots lit it up in this one, but they did enough on a drive to get a touchdown, and that just ended up being the difference, because the Chargers, they could only muster 3 points for this game. It was tough to watch. The Chargers and Justin Herbert's playoff woes continue. The Patriots move on.
I had some thoughts. I have my thoughts about this game. Chargers, New England. I remember last year when we were all told that Jim Harbaugh was going to be the one to turn the playoff chances of the Chargers around. I feel like we were all lied to, because I said on Saturday, I think this game might have the potential to be an upset depending on how the Chargers offense would play. At least the Chargers defense, for the most part, showed up in this game. They harassed, and this is a game, I confessed, I did not watch a lick of this game. I was actually kind of footballed out by the time I got home.
Yeah.
By the time I got home, I'm just like, do I really want to watch this game? No, I don't enjoy watching the Patriots because they always seem to win when I watch. I'm not going to enjoy any of this. And boy, I'm kind of glad I didn't. I went to bed early so I can get up at 4:30 and get my workout in for the day. But Chargers defense, give them all the credit in the world. They're the ones who for the most part showed up, harassed Drake May in this game. They've sacked him 5 times, including a strip sack, and they forced an early interception, which the Chargers turned over on downs on 4th and goal at the 2-yard line, rather than taking the points. Coaches, NFL coaches, if you have the opportunity to take the points, you take the points. Jim Harbaugh, telling you. Take the and this guy too. This guy needs to learn to take the points too. Duval. Take the points, coaches. Take the easy points. You'll live to fight another day. Get another drive. Can score touchdowns on other drives. If you have an opportunity to take the points, you take the points. Anyway.
That's the thing with these new analytics. They're saying, oh, if you're, I forget what yard line but they're like,
between the 40s.
Yeah. They're like, oh, the percentage is actually better on going for it on 4th down. It's like, hey, things were done a certain way for a lot of years for a reason. Sometimes just because it's an old method doesn't mean it's a bad one.
Exactly. Well, keeping on in this game. Teams trade field goals. These are the only points the Chargers can muster up all game long. Patriots defense, I give them credit. They were dialed in, dialed up the pressure in the second half. 4 of their 6 sacks on Justin Herbert came in the second half, including a strip sack to end a drive in the middle of the fourth quarter. After the Patriots had just taken a 3-score lead, the only touchdown of the game thrown by Drake May to Hunter Hearst Henry. That's right. I named him Hunter Hearst Henry. Suck it. Chargers had their chance to get within a score. Orchestrated a 14-play drive. The drive ended in a sack.
Yeah.
He was sacked twice on that drive. And here's the most interesting stat of that game, of this boring slog of a game. Both quarterbacks were their leading rushers on both teams. Drake May had 66 yards, and Justin Herbert had 57. But again, Justin Herbert is he's quickly turning into the Phillip Rivers of his generation.
Yeah.
And interestingly enough, plays for the same team. And yet again, he's going to have another offensive coordinator to work next year because Greg Roman got pantsed and kicked out of the facility of whatever facility they call now home in Los Angeles. Go back to San Diego. Hey, maybe you win maybe Justin Herbert will win a playoff game to go back to San Diego. Just saying. Just saying. Julie saying Dan Campbell, more like Dan Gamble. Am I right? She also says, take the points. That's right, Julie. She knows. Julie knows.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
All right. Last game of the wild card slate for the weekend. Monday night game. Houston Texans travel to Three Rivers to face the Pittsburgh Steelers. Remember when I said this would be the best game of wild card weekend? I meant it would be the best game of wild card weekend if you were a defensive aficionado. If you were a defense aficionado. Simply put, this was a mauling by the Houston Texans. I almost said Tennessee Titans. Houston Texans. So sorry, Houston Texans fans. Most of the scoring wasn't accounted for until the fourth quarter. Neither team had any success moving the ball, particularly the Steelers. The Pittsburgh Steelers, offensively, were held to 175 yards of offense in this game. Putrid, pathetic, all those words. That was the Pittsburgh Steelers in this game. I don't care if you have Aaron Rodgers at quarterback. I don't care if you have Tom Brady at quarterback. You're not going to win a game if you have 175 yards unless there's a lot of luck involved.
Yeah.
And the defense at least held their end of the bargain. But here's the thing. The Texans couldn't move the ball either in the first half. They couldn't score a touchdown because they kept turning the ball over in the first half, particularly. C.J. Stroud was sacked 5 times. He turned the ball over himself 3 times with 2 first-half fumbles and an interception in the third. And once again, go to the fourth quarter, business was about to pick up thanks to the JR effect. JR effect comes into play thanks to the Texans defense. Texans defense did most of the scoring in this game. Because after a field goal on Pittsburgh's next possession, Texans sack Aaron Rodgers, fumbles the ball. Sheldon Rankins, hey, a former New York Jet. I'm saying it a lot this weekend, by the way.
Yes.
Like, that guy was a Jet. That guy was a Jet. He scooped and scored that fumble after when that happened. Following a punt, Texans offense leaned into the Steelers. You could hear D'Amico Ryan say it. Lean into them. We're just gonna grind them down into dirt. And that's what they did. They had a long drive that was capped off by Woody Marks, scored the only offensive touchdown of the game between either of these teams. Next Steelers drive, Aaron Rodgers throws a pick 6, and that was pretty much the game because he was taken out. Mason Rudolph was in for the rest of the game for the Steelers. And this is so I went back and did the research.
Mm-hmm.
Aaron Rodgers' last pass as a Green Bay Packer was an interception against Julie's Detroit Lions. His last pass as a New York Jet was a touchdown to Breece Hall. And what possibly could be his last pass in his career both as a Pittsburgh Steeler and as a football player, period, he threw a pick six.
Man.
It was, and again, this is if and only if he decides to hang up the cleats. We'll see who is the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers in 2026. Will he come back? We don't know. Pray to God it's not Arthur Smith.
Oh, gee. Sorry. I didn't mean, everybody who knows me knows the Steelers aren't my favorite squad for reasons, but man, nobody deserves that. Nobody deserves that.
Nobody deserves that. No, nobody does. Well, those are my thoughts about this game. Dustin, what were yours?
Well, here, it's my time for full transparency. You were honest about your thoughts on the Patriots-Chargers game, and I had a feeling that this game was going to go the way that it went. I said the league's number one total defense, and if they're not number one total anymore, they're near the top, versus Arthur Smith's play calling. It's not going to be good. I elected to watch the Stranger Things finale because I still wasn't caught up with it. So I'm like, you know what? Let me finish this thing out. I think it's a better way to spend my time. I had some popcorn. I enjoyed it. However, because I care about the podcast and I don't want to look like an idiot on the show more than I already do, I watched the highlights. And guess what? This game was exactly what I thought it was going to be. But you pointed it out, Ryan. The Texans, man, C.J. Stroud, Troy Aikman was very critical of him not protecting the ball on those two fumbles. He had it out in front of him, and rightfully so. You know, I don't always agree with Troy, but he knows more about the quarterback position and football than I'll ever know. And he was dead on with this one. The Texans, with the performance that their defense had, they should have been better in this game. It could have been even worse. But the Steelers defense looked, and I've been very critical of the Steelers defense, but TJ Watt, they pressured CJ Stroud quite a bit. But this game, this is just bad. And even you go back and you watch, the cameras were on Aaron Rodgers for a lot of it, and it was just a lot of him swearing. You could see him swearing or frustrated. He couldn't, but I mean, this is what I don't understand. Let me just talk briefly about the Steelers' opening drive, okay? Jaylen Warren comes in, runs the ball, shockingly nice against the Texans, gets a big gain, nice start. Then you had a 25-yard pass to DK Metcalf, and I'm like, oh, are they finally going to use him as a deep threat in this game? But then it fizzled out because guess who Arthur Smith tried to go to? Kenneth Gainwell, and it didn't work. Arthur Smith keeps going back to the same wells. He falls in love with these players. And
Kenneth Gainwell is the new Jonas Smith.
Yes.
Changed my mind.
Yeah. And I mean, and no disrespect to Kenneth Gainwell. He was big for the Eagles a few years ago too, but man, I don't know. And it's just the Texans defense is just too good. The Steelers couldn't get anything going at all. And we saw what happened.
Yeah, I'm making a meme right now of the Steven Crowder changed my mind. Kenneth Gainwell is the new Jonas Smith. Yeah, it's very interesting to see what's going to happen with the Pittsburgh Steelers because Mike Tomlin steps down.
Yeah.
Future's kind of up in the air with Aaron Rodgers. He's a free agent. Cam Hayward is in his late 30s. Will he retire? I mean, is this offensive roster going to be blown up because Kenneth Gainwell is also a free agent? So
yeah,
Steelers have a lot of decisions to make. And like you mentioned, Dustin, they're not quite always in rebuild mode, but they're also not always in the late round of picks. I mean, I think they're picking. Let's look at Tankathon real quick, see where they're picking the NFL draft this year. They are currently picking 21st.
Yeah.
They're 21st in the draft this year.
that's going to get you NFL purgatory, and people sometimes criticize their moves, but I was one of them. I said, if this is your version of all in, you're all in trouble. But the thing is, what other options do they have besides free agent signings and just trying to kind of retool the roster, because they're never bad enough to fully rebuild. And they haven't been good enough to go to the Super Bowl. So they're stuck at this weird in-between.
Well, here's the weird part. According to Spot Track, they're going to have the 8th most cap room.
Wow. Okay.
They have $65 million to spend in cap space currently. Now, that's not without expiring contracts. That's not without cuts. It's coming in first week of March when the new year begins. And they're going to have some room for free agents. They're going to have some room to sign free agents. Now, will they sign more defensive players? Because again, this defense is the most expensive defense in the National Football League. It's well documented. I've said it before on this podcast, and I'll keep saying it until I'm blue in the face, because most of their investment is on the defensive side of the ball. Are they going to re-sign Kenneth Gainwell? Are they going to try to convince Aaron Rodgers to come back, unless Arthur Smith is somehow involved in the offense? Because my goodness, did he look like he wanted to cut his freaking head off sometimes.
Yeah.
And especially in the last couple of games against Cleveland in particular. Man, they got a lot of decisions to make. Now, is this, like you said, Dustin, could it be that if it had the chance to have a full rebuild, is next year going to be their year that they take a chance on a bridge quarterback? They draft a quarterback in the first round. Got plenty of players to choose from. Again, depending on if they declare for the draft, are they going to make a chance and move up in the draft to pick a quarterback? Future is the almost predictable thing about the future is that it is unpredictable. Wise man once said that. Can't remember his name. Definitely wasn't me though. So lots to be determined in the future of the Pittsburgh Steelers for sure. All we know is that right now it's they'll be packing day in a couple days. So clean up locker cleanup day, and their season, the off season begins now.
Yeah.
All right. We have decided. Oh, go ahead. You had one more thought before.
I have a quick question for you, Ryan, because there's two teams that are in the same divisions, Baltimore, and it's the Steelers. And you talked about the job that one Robert Saleh has done with that San Francisco defense.
Mm-hmm.
You know his credentials on defense. Both the Steelers and the Ravens see themselves, I think, as defensive identity teams. Do you bring in, if you're the Steelers or the Ravens, do you bring in Robert Saleh for your head coach, provided, because I think I would, provided he has a strong offensive coordinator paired with him?
One guy, I can definitely see Robert Saleh in one of those positions. But one guy I might see at the helm in Pittsburgh, Brian Flores.
Oh yeah, that
former staffer in Pittsburgh. He spent a season after he was fired from the Dolphins. He served as a consultant with the Steelers, so he has a pre-existing relationship with them.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he could be brought in for an interview. However, the lawsuit against the NFL is still hanging in the air too.
Yeah,
and who would want to take that risk? Hire a coach that has a lawsuit against the league right now. So, but I could see him possibly being a candidate in either of those cities. And same with Robert Saleh. I mean, Robert Saleh had his chance in New York, and some things went wrong. He got kind of stuck with a GM who did the all-in thing with Aaron Rodgers, and it backfired on the both of them. So, but I don't think Robert Saleh would want Aaron Rodgers to be his quarterback next year, unless stranger things have happened. We'll see. But I think if you want to choose his own quarterback, just don't let it be somebody like Zach Wilson, unless it would be the funniest thing ever.
Oh man,
my dark twisted mind. Robert Saleh gets hired as Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback. His free agent signing, Zach Wilson.
No man.
I'm sorry, Pittsburgh Steelers fans. I'm also not sorry because I hate the Steelers. Like my co-host does too. All right.
Yeah.
Divisional round matchups. Let's talk about these divisional round matchups. I got something to say about it real quick.
All right.
Though. Saturday's matchups. Buffalo will travel to Denver. That's the 4:30 game on CBS. The nightcap is San Francisco at Dustin's Seattle Seahawks. That's the 8 p.m. nightcap on Fox. Sunday, the Houston Texans traveled to Foxborough. They face New England at 3 p.m. That'll be on ESPN and ABC. And the early evening cap, the Rams travel to Chicago, 6:30 p.m. start on NBC and Peacock. Interestingly enough, I noticed this on my personal Twitter today is at WhoIsRyanMCC. All four of these matchups will be the third meeting all time ever for each of those teams against each other in the playoffs. Buffalo and Denver have met twice. Buffalo has taken both games. 49ers, Seahawks, they've met twice. They split those games. Houston and New England's won both games. LA Rams, Chicago. The Rams and Chicago first met in 1950 in the playoffs. They didn't meet each other again until the 1985 NFC Championship game. And now, 40 years later, they will meet in the 2025 Divisional playoff round. How kooky is that? How cool is that?
Yeah, that's nuts. That's nuts.
But I gotta say something about this time window, okay? The teams that played on Sunday, Buffalo and San Francisco in particular, they're gonna have a very short window for practice this week because they gotta have practices at home, then they gotta travel out. San Francisco has a shorter trip because they gotta travel up, but Buffalo has almost a full 3/4 of a continent to fly through.
Yeah.
Then Sunday, Houston, they played on Monday night. They got to travel and play Sunday in New England. Again, not a very long trip, but the one team that has the advantage of all these teams that were in the wild card, the Rams. The Rams have an advantage because they're going to get 8 days before the next game. They played on Saturday. They're going to play on Sunday. The scheduling is kooky. I don't like the scheduling, how the NFL scheduled these games. I don't know if you agree with me or not, Dustin, but I don't like the fact that teams that played on Sunday only have 5 days prepare and practice for the next opponent. I don't like that. I also don't like that the Monday night game has to play on Sunday. And that's why that's part of the reason why I hate the Monday night game, the Monday night wild card game, is because the teams have a shorter window to practice, especially if they have to travel. If they win the wild card and it's like a 2 seed, like don't have the 4 or 5 seed on a Monday and then you play then you play a divisional round game 5 days later. It leaves a shorter window for preparation. But the Rams and the Bears, they got almost a full week off to prepare for each other. Rams got to have a travel day, but Chicago gets the advantage of staying home. But that's kind of my mini rant about the scheduling. I just don't like how it's structured.
Yeah. Yeah, and I agree with you, Ryan. It feels uneven, and I mean, defenders might say, well, hey, they didn't realize which teams were going to be in which positions when they started putting this together. They knew enough. They could move things around. It's because they want to get the primetime games and the primetime time slots. And hey, I love Saturday NFL games as much as the next person, but it can cause problems like this. Mm-hmm. And that's the same thing, because I saw some people talking about it. Tony Dungy talked about it when he talked about, the 49ers, they have to do this travel and they get short rest. But it happens to every team because yes, Seattle had an advantage of having the bye, but they earned that bye. And look, everybody, the week before, the same thing happened to the Seahawks. They had to go from Carolina and then play in San Francisco on a Saturday game. So they also had short rest. It's just these Saturday games are what throw things into chaos, and then trying to shoehorn the Monday game in, which is not needed. So I agree with you, Ryan. I agree with you.
Yeah, but those are the Saturday games. Those are the divisional round matchups. We're going to talk about them Saturday. at 10 a.m. Eastern, and we'll preview those games, those matchups. We'll talk about them next Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern, unless we have a change, but we'll talk about that after the show. I will say this, though. Monday night, the 19th, we're going to have – I'm going to do my live stream, my live reaction to the College Football Championship, and Gaz and I are going to get together. I'm going to reach out to him sometime tomorrow and just say, let's do an early Sunday afternoon recording. That way we have it in the box. I'll have it available on Monday morning for your video consumption on the YouTube side. And I want to thank guys for being a part of my series talking about the college football playoff. That game will be Monday night in Miami. But this is an NFL show. We'll talk about the NFL on Saturday and then on Tuesday. But we're going to get out of here. Just remind you, thank you for those who are watching on the Belly Up Sports Twitter. If you're watching live on Facebook or YouTube, thanks for checking us out. Just want to remind you to please follow us. Follow us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Just search for No Credentials Required. You can also check out our other podcasts and written content at bellyupsports.com. On the podcast side, hit the subscribe button wherever you listen to podcasts, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, Amazon Music, iHeart, TuneIn, Pandora, and our host Podbean, Freshly Brewed Podcasts. Hit that notification bell on Twitter and on YouTube so you know when the shows go live, when we have video clips that go up, when we have general show announcements. Again, the YouTube channel, we're going to have this College Football Championship preview with Gaz. The championship game is on Monday. We'll have the video up early Monday morning. As for our live show, Saturday at 10 a.m. Eastern, then we'll talk about the divisional round. We'll wrap up the divisional rounds. We'll do a recap of that on Tuesday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, or we might do a Monday afternoon. We don't know. We'll let you know. Follow us on socials. We'll let you know when that's going to happen. Thank you again for tuning in to No Credentials Required, where you don't need a press pass to talk sports. We are proudly presented by Belly Up Sports. For Dustin Henry, I'm Ryan McCarthy. Have a great week. We'll see you Saturday morning to talk all about and preview the divisional games, divisional round of the NFL playoffs. Until then, have a great week. Talk to you again on Saturday.
Good night, everybody.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.